everybody, it's Melanie Cossey again, here with another reading, this time from the anthology Love Among the Thorns, published by Lyn Worthen of Camden Park Press. This is a gothic romance anthology, and if you're not familiar with gothic romance, it was a genre that started from the gothic genre. You could consider Wuthering Heights a gothic romance, but mainly gothic romances came full tilt in the 60s and 70s, where a lot were published. So it usually involves a couple, man or woman. These days it could be LGBTQ. I believe there's some in this book as well. But there's a high emotional aspect to the romance. It can usually be they have trouble getting together, or there's some problem in the romance, which would bring it into the gothic realm, because gothic does involve high emotions. And with gothic, there's an element of the supernatural. Usually ghosts, could be vampires, zombies, and werewolves. And of course, you're going to have your mansion that factors into the story quite prominently. Usually a crumbling manor or of some description, but some landmark that sets off the gothic. So my story takes place in Victoria, British Columbia, at a very special place called Craigdarroch Castle, which is actually in existence. It was built in the late 1800s. Modeled after a Scottish castle, and it's one of the few castles that we have in British Columbia. So my story is about a young woman who is unable to speak, and she is the art restorator for the castle, and she meets with a rather interesting brooding man on the castle grounds. So it's called In Through a Dark Maze. Ava climbed down the scaffolding, prompted by a strong draft that passed through unseen gaps in the castle's stonework, chilling her. After removing her ventilation mask and surgical gloves, she pulled her ragged sweater over her head and tugged free her thick ponytail of chestnut hair. Grabbing her thermos from the small work table, she poured a cup of now tepid tea. Rubbing her neck as she sipped, Ava studied the emerging ceiling mural, its colors faintly visible through the thin layers of paint. She had read about the recently discovered family photographs that had been taken in Craigdarroch Castle a century ago, depicting the original mural in Joan Dunsmuir's bedroom. Restoring the ceiling mural would be painstaking, but Ava was committed, no matter how long it took. The sudden shriek of wind surging along the castle wall broke her thoughts. The abrupt Vancouver Island windstorms were a phenomenon Ava was beginning to understand since her move to Victoria, British Columbia 6 months before. How quickly the outside winds chilled a room. Small wonder that 17 fireplaces and carved hearths dominated the manor. Somewhere in a distant room, dull thumps sounded, causing Ava's nerves to prickle. She was acutely aware that she worked alone in the empty bedroom as tree branches scratched and knocked against window panes. Her mind leaped to reports of ghostly activities she'd read about while Googling Craigdarroch Castle. Some of the museum staff had claimed to hear the piano playing in the ballroom after hours when no one was around. And a few visitors had sworn to feeling the presence of Joan Dunsmuir herself when the room they were in had suddenly turned icy cold. Some had reported a figure, cloaked in black, appearing in the upper bedroom window, the very bedroom Ava was working in. Ava set her thermos cup on the work table and peered out the window to the vast grounds below. Beyond the terrace, set on the back third of the manicured lawn, a cluster of strategically planted hedges formed an elaborate maze, but one so overgrown and disheveled that it appeared abandoned. Ava had looked down on many occasions, but had witnessed very little progress. Rare was the occasion when she'd observed the gardener, a dark figure dressed in black rain jacket, face obscured, milling about the structure, doing nothing in particular. As a result, the inner walls of the maze grew increasingly unkempt, enshrouding the structure's interior pathways. This was puzzling. Diane from the Historical Society of Greater Victoria had mentioned that the maze was scheduled to open June 1st, but things were looking doubtful. It was the end of March, and if the gardener didn't get trimming soon, he wouldn't have a hope of keeping up. Above her, a raven, alighting from some unseen perch on the castle roof, flew out across the darkening sky. Turning from the window, Ava glanced up at the ceiling again, eyeing one patch where she had stripped away the old grimy ceiling paint to reveal a swath of cherub wing, undertones of pink and blue mingled with yellowing white to suggest the opalescent glow of the feathers. Her strategically aimed spotlights picked up the subtle nuances of the paint, and Ava scrutinized her work for any remaining grey film before attempting to climb back up the scaffolding. She had just closed her hand around the beam and pitched herself skyward when a piercing howl sent her leaping back to the floor. The lights flickered before winking out, darkening the room considerably. Ava's heart beat wildly, and she used the scaffolding to pull herself upright. Goosebumps pimpled her flesh as a chill engulfed the room. The wind invades, she thought. However, this sudden coldness did not match the breezes that had permeated Joan Dunsmuir's large Victorian bedroom as she worked that afternoon. No, instead the room had rapidly grown frigid. The chill seized her, and she felt dizzy, disoriented. Her mind jolted, trying to grasp reality. In fright, she fled the room, running into the hallway, down the polished oak staircase encased in floor-to-ceiling paneling, to the foyer with its massive carved stone fireplace, and out through the castle's side door. From the safety of the terrace, she saw that the nearby castle windows were completely dark. No light burned inside. It was a total power outage. So that was again Love Among the Thorns in my story In Through a Darkened Maze. This is available right now on Story Bundle as part of a bonus for a Mysterious Women story bundle. I believe there's 15 books in the bundle, and it's a pay what you want scenario, but if you pay $15, you do get this book as a bonus. So that's a great deal, and it's happening only for the next 14 days, so you'll want to hurry on that one. If you want to know more about me and what I write, you can visit my blog at crumblingmanor.blogspot.com. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.